मतलब मिर्जापुर में होंगे तभी ये पता, अजीत रंगानी नहीं है तो पता चल जाएगा ना। एप्लीकेशन क्या डाला है जो आप लिए हैं, जो हमसे डिफाइन करा है उस पे नहीं। हाँ पहले कंफर्म कर दीजिए ना, मुझे ऐसा समझ नहीं आ रहा है तो कुछ चीजें ऐसे मन से, क्योंकि वो सारा वो भी हरामी है ना। अरे मैं नहीं मेरी तो देखिए बात ही होती रखी, मैंने अपने हाथ की रजिस्ट्री करी है तब ये हाल है। और वो लोग जितने के आप ये वो सकता महाराजवा भी सारा कुछ गड़बड़ किया होगा। हाँ वही मैं कह रहा हूँ, गोल्डी में मैं अभी गोल्डी को फोन करूँ और पूछूँ तो सारा तुरंत पहुंच जाएगा। हाँ मेरे से तो 9 महीने के बाद जिस दिन का रजिस्ट्री हो गया तो मेरे से बिल्कुल बातचीत नहीं, मेरे से आप छोड़ दिए, मेरे से तो रितेश से बातचीत नहीं। और एक चीज और बताता हूँ, हमारी जो बसई की जमीन थी ना, उससे पहले तो सर बाबू को नाराज हुए थे, राइट, तो कुछ पकड़े होंगे किसी को, है ना। तो मैंने संत बाबू से बोला कि आपको चिड़ा पार्टी देखा, मैंने तो वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट खत्म कर चुके, मैंने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं खत्म, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट खत्म कर चुके थे, क्या ऐसे का सोच सकता है, भाई साहब उससे पूछो। बोले अरे तुम भैया मैं वो ना ग्रीन जोन में, अरे आप बस आप ना ये कैसा है, आपने क्या किए, अब हमें 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 जमाने भर से फोन करे, 30,000 का फोन आया हमारे पास, आप समझ रहे हैं, 30,000 का भी फोन आया कि आप एक काम करिए, भैया मैं आपसे कह रहा हूँ कि अभी आप थोड़ा सा 4-6 महीने में पिक्चर थोड़ी सी क्लियर और होगी, क्योंकि बहुत सारा मेरे नाम के और भी है ना, धीरे धीरे पता चलता है ना। अब ये लोग कैसा है, बेईमानी बहुत करते हैं ना, बेईमानी बहुत करते हैं। अब जब आपके घर पे आदमी बेईमानी तो करेगा ना, तो हम यहाँ पर रहते हैं, अब गोल्डी और चाहे रितेश हो चाहे ये हो, उनके चाहे सब एक हो जाते हैं, हम वहाँ रहते नहीं है तो बात वहाँ कट जाते हैं। अब गोल्डी को पता है कि रितेश के बिना काम नहीं चलेगा, मिर्जापुर आएगा तो रितेश को पता है कि थोड़ा बहुत गोल्डी लोगों से कुछ बेचना होगा तो मीट के बेच के गोल्डी को पता चल जाए, गोल्डी बनते तो हमारे हिस्से का सब दगा जाते हैं। प्रॉब्लम है, तो धीरे धीरे अभी हम भी थोड़ा पता कर रहे हैं, तो बहुत सारे अरे पागल आदमी बात करना नहीं, उससे मेरे बहुत।
Can you all hear me, guys? Good evening.
Good evening. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Before I get started, any questions, guys? From whatever we discussed yesterday, do you guys have any questions?
No.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, is my screen share visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yesterday we have discussed about client and server architecture. And and that's pretty much essential for us to talk about security testing. And today we will talk about another topic in chapter 1. So chapter 1 has one last topic called as 3-tier architecture. This is something most of you might be aware of, but still, benefit of doubt, I would like to talk about it so that we understand it, because it plays a role in security testing. In any project that we take, right, whether it is a web application project or a mobile app project, minimum 3 systems are always involved, and we call it as 3-tier architecture. The first system is called as front-end system, and the second system is called as back-end system, and the third system is called as server-side system, where database is present. So whether you call it as server or database, it is okay for us. So what is the communication between these 3 systems? We need to understand. It is pretty simple thing, no rocket science, but basics should be clear. So from a diagrammatical perspective, if I want to talk about, so I will say this is my front-end system, and this is my back-end system, and this is the database system. Okay. So this is my front end. What is a front end system? Can anyone tell me your point of view?
We implement the UI. The end user use the application.
Okay, correct. So front end system is typically the user interface layer, the graphical user interface layer, which is rendered on a browser or which is rendered on a mobile app. Example, if you are opening your Swiggy, Zomato app, that's a front end system. If you're typing udemy.com on browser, if you're typing abcd.com, yahoo.com, gmail.com, so that is also what do you call a front end system. Okay, so I will write some points here. It is the GUI layer, okay, rendered via a browser or mobile app interface. Example, if I take you to some website, any website, okay, example, this website I'm taking. This is a graphical user interface web application rendered on a browser. So this is the front end system. What this front end system does is it will do minimum validations before it talks to the backend system, right? So whenever you enter the username and password and click on login button, what front end system will do is it will first check, is username entered? Okay, entered. Is password entered? Yes, entered. Now the login button is clicked. Yes, then only these credentials will be supplied as an API request to the second system in the pipeline. That is called as the communication from front end to back end, which means I will say front end system does basic validations before sending the request to back end system. Okay. Now, what are those basic validations? Like whether the username and password is entered or not, like that. Okay. Example, if I click on login, we should get an error, right? Login failed, and yes, you are getting the error message. So the question is this error coming from front end system, or the backend system is telling the front end that this error is there, or the server is telling the backend and the backend is telling the front end that login and password is missing? We don't know who is telling this error message. To know who is telling this error message, let me open my Chrome. Okay, so I did not enter username and password, as you can see. When I click on login button, we should get an error, right? What is that error you are expecting?
To enter
Guys?
username and password.
Correct. Who should throw that error? Front end or back end or database?
Mhm.
Anyone who can say who should throw this error? Front end should throw, or back end system should throw, or server should throw?
I think backend.
Front end should throw the
Server
error
should
because
serve. Okay.
no, front end should throw because we did not enter anything. So why should front end depend on the server guy, right? So front end has to throw the error. Okay, so if front end is throwing the error, it is okay, but if back end is throwing, it is not correct. Therefore, I said explicitly here, front end system should do basic validations before forwarding the request to back end system. Okay, okay. Let us say that front end system did the validations, it is correct. What it will do, it will forward the request to back end system. Now, what back end will do? So this is the next system we have, which is the back end system. What backend system will do is it will validate the received front end request. So it will validate the received front end API request. Guys, go on mute, everyone. It will validate the received front end API request. Getting some noise. Rajendran. Okay. So what backend system does is it will receive the front end request and it will validate it. So when you validate it, there is a binary answer. The request validation might pass, might fail. So if the backend validation fails, the front end request is rejected here itself, which means not sent to server anymore. But if the backend validation passes, then the front end request is forwarded to server. So after this, what will happen? If the request has to be rejected, it will be rejected and sent back to front end saying, hey, front end, there is a problem, cross check it and send it back to me. But if the request is valid, it will forward it to the next system. And the next system is your databases layer, which is residing on the server. I'll call it a server-side system where database is hosted. What this system does is it will also validate the request that it received from backend. So I'll say it will validate the received backend API request. Again, here also we have a binary answer, approved or rejected, passed or failed. So if the server validations fails, the backend request is rejected with 4xx error code. We have discussed error codes yesterday. If the server validations passes, which is another criteria, then the backend request is processed with 2xx success response code. We have discussed success response code yesterday. And the last option is if the server is busy and cannot handle any more incoming backend request, the backend request is rejected with 5xx error code. Server says, I'm busy, I cannot handle anything further. Then it can also reject it. So server has 3 permutations and combinations. It can give a success back to the backend system if the request is valid. In case if the server is extremely busy and it cannot validate the request, it will directly reject it automatically. If it has to reject the request because backend request validations failed, it will reject with 4xx error code. So in any case, what the backend will do, it will forward the responses it is getting from server to front end as it is. So it can forward the success responses that it received from server to front end as it is, or it will forward the client side errors as it is, or it will forward the server rejections as it is. All red colors are 5xx, or orange colors are 4xx, all green colors are 2xx. So whenever you test anything on the applications on your mobile app or on your browser, these three systems are playing a lot of roles in deciding whether your request should be processed or should be rejected. And this is a simple architecture that's there on the internet. You can Google it also. You won't get probably to this extent, but this is a simple architecture that you should keep in mind. Front-end system will do validations. Back-end system will do validations. Server also will do validations. First, front-end will do the validation, and if it is not correct, front-end directly rejects it to the user. If front-end says, yeah, it is correct, then backend will not blindly believe front-end validations. Backend will again validate it. And if backend says, no, front-end, you did not do properly, I found a problem, then backend will reject it with red color. Assuming a positive scenario, backend validates and says, okay, front-end, your request is correct. It will forward with a green arrow to server. Now, server again will validate it. Server will not trust backend. Server will say, let me validate. If it is correct, I will send 2xx, green color. If it is incorrect, I will send 4xx, orange color. If server is busy, cannot handle incoming request, it will reject with red color, 5xx. And what backend do? It will forward whatever message it got to front end, because backend acts as an interface in between. Okay. Any questions, guys, on this simple architecture that I have shown you here?
No.
Okay. I will anyways share my notes later. The notes will be more detailed. Right now, I'm not writing any notes pretty much. To save our time, I'm not writing. But this is something that you should know about three-tier architecture. Okay. And with this, we just completed chapter 1. Chapter 2 is also a very small chapter. And chapter 3 onwards, which we are going to start from Monday, the actual security testing, OWASP introduction will start. Chapter 1 and 2 are introductions towards certain terminologies that we need from chapter 3 onwards. So in chapter 2, I would like to talk about certain basic points, like how many types of APIs are there. So APIs evolution I want to talk about. Then API syntax I want to talk about. And some examples, APIs examples, right? Because when you are doing security testing or performance testing or automation testing, APIs are present everywhere. So if you don't know the word API, the syntax of an API, our security testing becomes difficult. So chapter 2, whatever I'm showing you today is easy, but something you have to remember throughout the course. APIs evolution. We all know what is an API, right? Application Programming Interface. And the definition is, it is an interface or a component that helps in data transfer from one module to another module in an enterprise application. And the data exchange can happen in JSON format, YAML format, XML format, HTML, text, any format. And APIs are there in the industry from almost last 25 years. So initially, the technology of APIs started with a technology called XML RPC APIs. Later, it became outdated, and then we had a technology called SOAP APIs. Later, it became outdated, and a technology called REST APIs came into picture. And now, in the last 5 years, another technology also came into picture called GraphQL APIs. Let's talk about XML RPC APIs first. This technology is 100% outdated today. So you don't even have to worry about how does it look like. Should we do security testing for them? Not needed. RPC stands for Remote Procedure Calls. XML stands for, as usual, extensive markup language. And this technology is 100% outdated today. So no organization would work on this kind of APIs. And in XML RPC APIs, the data exchange format between client and server, between any two modules, is always XML. That's why it is called as XML RPC APIs. Okay, this is outdated technology. This was introduced probably in the year 2001 or 2002. But when it became outdated, then SOAP APIs came into picture. You might be hearing the word SOAP APIs even today mostly. So SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol. That is a full form for SOAP. And here also the data exchange format we are using is XML only. The developers are told to use only XML format in SOAP APIs as well. And here, the HTTP method used by developers is only post method. In SOAP APIs, we cannot use put, patch, delete, get. Only post method has to be used. Other methods have no place here. Okay, and this technology is 90% outdated today in the market. 10% is the usage. Few organizations are still using it because of business reasons and legacy systems maintenance. Let me take a pause here. Are you clear on these 2 points under APIs evolution?
Yes.
Now REST APIs. So when SOAP APIs became outdated, right? See, they were introduced almost in the year 2006 or so. And by 2010, they became outdated. When something becomes outdated, some other technology has to catch it. So REST APIs is the guy that catched it. So REST stands for Representational State Transfer. That is a full form. And whatever drawbacks we had in SOAP APIs, REST APIs fixed it. So here, the data exchange format can be in any format. Developer says, can I use HTML? Yes. Can I use XML? Yes. Can I use text? Yes. Can I use JSON? Yes. Can I use YAML? Yes, etc. Any format can be used if you are using REST APIs. So developers like that. Then HTTP method used. Here it's not method, it's methods. You can use all methods. Meaning, you can use get method, post method, put method, patch method, delete method, etc. Whatever methods we have discussed, whatever we have not discussed, all those methods can be used. And this technology is being used 100% today by every organization. Today, there is no other technology that can beat REST APIs. This is a very fantastic technology the developers use. And one simple general knowledge is Google introduced this technology to the world. And later they made it open standard. Hence, every company can use REST APIs. If Google has not made it open standard, then only Google company can use this technology. But they later made it open standard from 2010, I guess. And until today, it's been 15 years, people are using REST APIs. If you open your mobile app, any app that you talk about, they use extensively REST APIs only. This is about REST APIs, guys. Then recently, we are hearing about GraphQL APIs as well. So here QL stands for query language. And I would say this is an advanced version of REST APIs. And don't assume that REST APIs is outdated because I'm talking about GraphQL. GraphQL parallelly is working along with REST APIs. And this technology is introduced by Facebook. So Facebook introduced GraphQL APIs, and they also made it open standard, so any company can use it. And GraphQL follows all REST principles, meaning whatever REST API principles are there, like data can be in any format, any HTTP method can be used, etc. All those principles are just followed further by GraphQL APIs. So you need to just know that there are different types of APIs in the world, and mostly REST APIs are the ones that developers will work with. And potentially your developer can also work with GraphQL APIs. Any queries to me, guys, here?
Yeah, Kiran, I think, can you explain about stateful or stateless?
Okay, sure. That's a good question, though. Okay, stateful and stateless, multiple differences are there. I'll tell something that will make you feel a little better. Okay, who asked this question?
Ravindra.
Okay, Ravindra. Fine.
I mean, there could be some difference between SOAP and REST with respect to state, I feel. I'm not very sure. So, yeah.
Okay. Forget about protocol. I'll tell you. The answer is very easy here. So let us say here stateful versus stateless. Stateful, see, I'll give a casual answer. You'll understand it. Stateful means you remember what happened. Stateless means you forget immediately after the event. So, which means what it means is, so I'm asking Ravindra. So, Ravindra, yesterday, have you attended the class?
No, Kiran, I couldn't attend.
Okay, but you remember that you did not attend, right?
Yes.
So, that is statefulness. If you say, Kiran, I don't know if I have attended or not attended, that is statelessness, which means if you remember, your memory power is good. If you don't remember, you are like Gajini, that movie, right? Stateless. Now, why the industry is using this word stateful and stateless, I will tell you. Again, for that, I need a diagram. And I think this diagram is already copied and pasted here. So we can erase this diagram. So this is my client. And this is the server. So this client has a request. So it is sending a request to the server. And let us say the request is google.com. Or let us say the request is, example, you logged in into Amazon and you clicked on view order ID. So the request I'm sending is view order ID. So what will happen? This request will travel all the way like this from client to server, right? I'm asking Amazon server, what is the status of my order ID? Is it dispatched or still stuck somewhere in the warehouse, etc.? So what server will do? It will say, okay, fine. I have some request from my brother. It will go and check its database. Orange color is the database. After checking the database, it will come to know the status of that view order ID. So it will give the response. And let us say the status it is giving is order ID dispatched from the warehouse. What will happen? This message is given by server and it will travel all the way like this to the client. Okay, this is clear, right, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I will also put some traces of view order ID here. This is step 1. So I'll call it as step 1. And this is step 2. Step 2 means it reached server. After that, I have step 3, where the response came from server to client. Okay, now I'm asking you guys, who sent the request? Client. Who got the request? Server. Who answered it? Server. To whom server answered? To the client. Fine. So client knows that it sent a request, server knows that it responded. What if I repeat this process one more time? Like again, I will send the same request. View order ID, same person, same order. Again, I'm clicking intentionally, saying what is the status of my order. Just now server gave me answer, it is dispatched, but still I'm asking it. Why? Maybe fun. So again, this request will go all the way from here to here. So step 1, it goes. And step 2 also, it will come here only, right? View order ID will come again here. What do you think the server should do now? Generally speaking.
Duplication.
To make a call to DP, usually.
Okay, so let me say, again, I'm asking Ravindra only. So Ravindra, yesterday, did you attend the class?
Yeah, no.
That is a question and you gave me an answer. Fine, I heard it, but again, I'm asking the question. Ravindra, have you attended yesterday's class? Come on, answer it. Are you speaking? I cannot hear. Can anyone answer on behalf of him?
I said no.
Okay, fine. So I asked the question 3 times. You gave me answer 3 times. Again, I'm asking 4th time. Have you attended the class yesterday? What would you say now?
No.
You might say no again. Again, I will ask 5th time. 6th time also you might say no. I will ask 7th time, 8th time, 9th time, 10th time. What could be your 10th answer? Maybe you get little irritated, right? Saying, you know, Kiran, I have answered you 5 times, 6 times, 2 times. Why are you asking me again and again? Which means you remember that you already answered Kiran earlier. Here you are the server. Kiran is the client. The client is asking the server, did you attend yesterday's class? First time the server, Ravindra, said no. Second time, Kiran is client. He's again asking the same question. Have you attended yesterday's class? Ravindra says, I told you the answer a few seconds back. Why are you asking me? Because you are a human being. You remember what happened about the conversation between you and me. Same question. You gave an answer. Again, the same question. Why will you repeat the answer again? So you remember what has happened here. Because you are stateful as a human being. Now, in this case, I said the blue color order ID went to server. Server gave a green color answer. Again, the same order ID question client is asking, meaning Kiran is again clicking on view order ID, but second time I'm using another color, but same question. The question went to server. What do you think the server should do now?
I think same answer. Dispatched.
Dispatched. Okay, same answer, dispatched. So again, I will say third step. Third time, again, I'm sending the same request, view order ID. What do you think the server will do? Will it retaliate like Ravindra saying, why are you asking the same question again and again? Or it will fail? Okay, it will not is what I heard. So server will again give the answer, order ID dispatched. But logically, if you understand, why is the server not shouting back on client? Why it is patiently giving the answer, order ID is dispatched for all the 3 times? Not because server has to be a good guy. No, server is stateless. Servers are stateless, meaning servers do not have memory power. They are all Gajanis. So server says, I never know that I answered view order ID in blue color. Hence it is answering brown color. Again, after answering view order ID for blue color or brown color, server never remembers that it answered brown color guy. So next time you come with green color view order ID or multiple times you ask the same question, server never remembers that it already answered the same question. because servers are stateless. Why are servers stateless? Again, if I take one step back, the request that we are sending to server is either HTTP request or a HTTPS request, right? Ideally, this protocol itself is stateless. Since the protocol that is taking the request from client to server itself is stateless, server is getting that problem and server is also becoming stateless. So not remembering what happened, we call it as stateless. Remembering what happened is called as stateful. Clients are stateful, servers are stateless. When servers are stateless, protocol is also stateless. The same thing they will apply it to REST APIs being stateless or stateful, SOAP APIs being stateless, like that. Now that the servers are stateless, industry thought it is a big problem. So to tell server that you should remember what happened, they converted a stateless to stateful by introducing cookies. Cookies remember, right, what is happening. So with the help of cookies, servers became stateful. From stateless, they became stateful. Again, that's a question in the interviews. How do you convert stateless to stateful? The answer is use cookies and you become stateless to stateful. Because cookies will record what happened earlier. Did I answer your question? Stateless, stateful?
Sir, cookies will stay on client side, right?
Correct. But server is sending the cookie to client.
So
and next time client is sending the but next time when client is sending the request, cookie will again go. Cookie will tell the server that, hey, I already came to you earlier. So server says, oh, you came to me for the second time. So server is behaving like a memory guy now. Because cookies are helping server recognize what happened.
Sir, only the first time the request is go from client to server, the first time that is stateless. Second time when it is going the continuous repetition, it's not stateless. It is going to be stateful because of the cookies.
Correct. 100% correct. Okay. So now talking about API syntax.
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said cookies server is don't have memory, right? So how come now cookie is sending to client, and how it is remembering now from stateless to stateful?
See, before
where
cookies,
it is storing the cookie now?
Cookies are stored on the client side, never on the server side.
Okay.
But next time when the request is coming, cookie also will come. So server will read both cookie and the request. And by reading the cookie, server will come to know, okay, this request is coming for the second time or third time.
So first time there won't be cookie. Second time it
First
came
time,
with
correct. First time there is no cookie at all.
Yes.
Okay. Second time onwards only the concept of cookies will be introduced.
Sir, one thing.
Become both the protocol as well as server becomes stateful.
You are converting stateless to stateful, temporary conversion.
Okay. So please correct me. When the first time the request will go to the server, okay, then server will return the information and the cookies also, right, sir?
Correct.
Then again the information will go to server. When we send the information, it will go first to the cookies, and then information is available in the cookies. The cookies will respond to the browser. Cookies will respond to the user.
No. Cookies will never respond to browser.
Okay.
Cookies will go with the request to the server, and server only will respond.
Okay, got it. Cookies will also go with that in with the request.
Yes.
Okay. Now it's clear.
Okay. Now let's look at the syntax of an API because we need to understand.
Hi, sir. Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Yeah, just a question, sir. If I want to test, like, I don't want cookies to remember my information. So how to disable it?
Okay, you cannot
Can you?
disable from the server. Server will definitely send cookies, but the browser can control whether you want to accept the cookies or not. That's why you get a pop-up or a toast message, right, on your browsers. This
Hmm.
application uses cookies, accept all or decline all. So if
So
you
like,
decline all,
yeah.
it won't remember.
So sir, if I go to browser and by the, using the option settings, if I do clear cookie, then it will remove all the information, right? Like
Correct.
clear browsing history, like that,
Correct.
right?
It will delete all the
Yeah.
cookies that server sent you earlier.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I think we use incognito mode as well, right?
Yeah. In incognito mode also, you don't get cookies. It will be erased even the moment you close the browser. Okay, good.
So
I'm seeing
just
a
a
lot of.
question.
Hmm.
In future, are you going to explain us how to do cookies testing as well? Like for like it is remembering the information or not, something like that. People are doing that testing as well, like something I don't remember, but
Yes,
they are doing
yes.
this too. Yeah, yeah.
In security
Okay, so
testing,
yeah,
yes,
for
we'll
the
capture.
security testing.
Yes, yes, we'll do that.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay, now coming to API syntax. Every API that's developed by developer will have a HTTP method followed by a protocol, followed by a base URL, followed by an endpoint. Then you have something called query parameters. Then you have payload or request to body, and you have authorization and request headers. These are the components or elements present in an API syntax. Whatever I'm highlighting in red color, they are mandatory when a developer develops it. Whatever I'm putting it in some green color, they're optional. Request headers are mostly mandatory. Yeah, let's try to understand whether we know all these things. HTTP method, I think you all remember, we discussed it yesterday. Example, get, post, put, patch, delete. Get is used for getting the data. Post is used for creating the data. Put and patch are used for updating the data. Delete is used for deleting the data. So that we discussed yesterday. So I don't want to spend time on that discussion. Protocol, it is either HTTP or HTTPS. HTTP is unsecured by design. HTTPS is secured by design. We discussed it yesterday again. Base URL. So base URL is your domain name. Okay. So I will say here, when I say base URL, it is nothing but your domain name or host name or server name. Example, google.com is a domain or a base URL. Yahoo.com/news is another, yahoo.co.in is another base URL. So like this, you can type anything, ikfi.education. So they're all examples of your base URLs. So any domain that you're accessing on the browser is your base URL. Sometimes it can be an IP address also, like your local host IP address, like this. Then you have endpoint. Endpoint is nothing but the path that you are accessing. Some people call it as file, some people call it as resources, some people call it as page. So it is the path that you access on the base URL. Example again, if I just type google.com, it is base URL. But in google.com, which page I wanted access? YouTube. So /YouTube is the endpoint here. Let me underline it. So /YouTube is the endpoint here. So let me write here. It starts with /. So endpoint always starts with a /. So google.com/YouTube. Here /YouTube is your endpoint. Similarly, yahoo.co.in/email. So here I'm going to a page called email. So /email is your endpoint. Similarly, ikfi.education/MBA. Within MBA, I'm interested in sales. So here there are two endpoints, /MBA and /sales. These are the two pages I'm accessing continuously. Sometimes in my local computer, I might handle something like this, 127.0.0.1/downloads/kiran.doc. So this is also two endpoints that I'm accessing on the domain name 127.0.0.1 or on the server name 127.0.0.1. So anything that starts with a /, we typically pronounce it as an endpoint. Let me highlight it. Any questions, guys, on endpoint and this one? These are basics that we should be clear before Monday class. Because Monday onwards, I will not even talk about what is an endpoint.
It is
Confirm.
also called as path parameter, right?
Yes, that is also correct. Also referred to as path parameters. Perfect. Then we have query parameters in the syntax. So query parameters means whatever search that you are doing after the endpoint, whatever filter you are applying after endpoint, that is called as query parameters. So it is called as, it is the search or filter criteria applied on an endpoint in the base URL. And clue I'm giving you, it always starts with a question mark. If you want examples, in google.com/YouTube, so when you go to YouTube, you have 1,000 things to search. So when I go to YouTube, I search for something, right? So I will, when I search for something, it immediately changes the URL to something like this, question mark Q. Q means the query I'm searching for. I wanted to search for something called, let's say, new movies, like this. So when I'm searching for new movies in YouTube, the URL automatically changes to like this. So Q equals to new movies is telling that, hey, I wanted to watch some new movies. So the filter is now telling YouTube, don't show any other content, just show movies content. Similarly, if I take yahoo.co.in/news, when I go to news page, there are 1,000 things that I can see in the news. But what is that I'm interested in? When I search for something specific like gold rate, that becomes question mark Q equals to gold rate. So this Q equals to gold rate is my query parameter. Let me use a different color. You can have one query parameter or you can have 2-3 query parameters. Similarly, in ikfi.education/MBA/sales, I wanted to search for the education in Hyderabad city. So then the query parameter looks like this in the API when the developer develops it. Let me give a practical example so you understand it. If I go to any website, let's say udemy.com, and here I want to search for Python, Python, enter. So my search is for Python, and you will get Python results here. Observe the URL here. I'll copy the URL and I'll put it in the document so we can see it better here. HTTPS is the protocol. Udemy.com is the base URL. /courses first endpoint, /search second endpoint. Then you see question mark started. Source equals to Udemy keyword. UKW means Udemy keyword. We did not type this. It came automatically. So I'll put it in red color. And then the query I typed is Python, right? So Q equals to Python. So this came automatically. So this query parameter came automatically here. Sorry, this came here because we searched for Python. Okay, so that is something that's already there on the internet, nothing new. It's a basic stuff only we are trying to learn. Then you have payload. payload is nothing but a request body, which will mostly be in JSON format these days. And it is used by post method, put method, and patch method APIs. See, post is used to create data. To tell what data you want to create, you have to supply the payload. Put and patch are used for updating the data. So what data you want to update, that you tell using payload. And this payload can be in any format, JSON, XML, but mostly these days it is in JSON format. Example of payload, I will show it to you. Again, I will say udemy.com. Okay, not Udemy, let's change it. Yeah. So here, you see, if I have to log in, I have to supply the username, I have to supply the password. Let's say the username is Kiran and the password is something. So to log in, my input is username and password. So this input username and password is called as payload. For login functionality, the payload is username and password. In case if I'm registering to any website, it will ask me to enter first name, last name, right? Example, Instagram if I take. So to log in, I have to enter the phone number and password. So that is the payload for login button. And if I sign up, click on sign up, I have to enter mobile number, password, full name, username to sign up. So these 4 fields data is called as payload for sign up functionality. Is that payload process clear to everyone? What is a payload?
This payload, we can say like it's any form of data that's all to for any procedure or any things we just wanted to put. It's like this, any of the data values.
Yes, yes, we can say like that. It's nothing but input data. Whatever input you enter into the application on the client application, that input data you call it as payload.
Just one question here. The source, this one query, when you are talking about the query, the question mark is src is equals to ukw and q is equals to. Can you explain this once a little bit more? Like in the top, we see if we see teams.microsoft.com light meeting launch is agent. So agent is like here the query, like sir. Question on the top, the question is agent is equals to web and the version on the top. I'm talking about the teams.
Here it is only one endpoint is there. /v2 is only the endpoint. There is no query parameter here because I don't see question mark anything here.
Okay, no, what I am using in that everybody is seeing that also. So here there's teams.
If you are seeing anything with question mark, it is a query parameter.
And sir, that answer is you have written source is equals to that. Can you explain this one more?
So SRC is source. UKW stands for Udemy keyword. Okay, that is added automatically by Udemy developer. So we don't have to worry about that, but that's a query parameter. We searched for Python and that is also coming. That is what I'm interested. So Q equals to Python is a query parameter because it starts with question mark.
Okay, clear.
So payload, either payload or query parameter. So it cannot be both.
Sorry, payload and?
Either payload or query parameter. It cannot be both.
No. Who said like that? You can have both. Query parameter is search criteria. You can supply input and still ask for search.
So what about Q equal to Python? Is it a payload or what is that?
No, it is a query parameter, right? I'm saying anything that starts with a question mark is a query parameter. Payload looks something like this. You will have flower
payload
bracket.
is a request body. So we are going to get post to DB or whatever it is. So query is different and post is different. Is it right?
Correct.
So it cannot be both, right?
No. You will have both. Don't get confused there. Anyways, developer will take care of that, but you will have both. there is no rule that if query parameter is used, payload should not be used. You can have both. You can have any one. The developer decides end of the day whether he wanted both or he wanted any one. Okay, then we have authorization. Authorization typically has the user credentials like username and password or access token that you want to supply to the server so that you get a response. Request headers we have seen already yesterday in client and server architecture. Request headers typically is the additional data that client is supplying to the server. Example, I told you connection header, content type header, accept header, authorization header, or user agent header. Yesterday we have seen that. So these are the part. Correct. So all these things are part of your API syntax. The new things that you learned today is base URL, endpoint, query parameters, and payload. Remaining ones you already know, I guess. Yesterday also we discussed it. And there are so many examples on the internet that you can visit to know how an API looks like. There are thousands of examples. I'll just show you one or two examples. This is a common website everyone goes to see a lot of REST APIs as examples. So if you come here, so this is one API. If I just open this on a new tab, and if I copy this API and put it in the document, this is using get method. So the method is get, the protocol is HTTPS, the base URL is req.res.in, the endpoints are /API/users, query parameter is !page2. This is one API we have. Second API also I'll show you, which is this post API here. If you click here, the method is post, and here you have the request. I'll copy the request. So this is the request, and this is the payload that you are supplying for post API. Okay, so this is how the post API looks like. This is one example only. Don't worry about other questions. I just wanted to show you. My intention is not to explain the API now what it will do. That is not needed because it's a dummy API on the internet. I wanted to show you HTTP method, protocol, base URL, endpoints, payload, and I'm showing it to you. Along with query parameters, I'm showing it to you. Similarly, if you come here, you also have put APIs. Click on this put API, and you can copy these details. So this is your put API, and this is the request body the developer has. Then finally, delete, click on it. Here you have the API URL. So this is how the delete API looks like. So again, you have the methods at the front, then followed by protocol, base URL, endpoints. Okay. Few of them have query parameters, few of them don't have it. Few of them have request body, few of them don't have it, like that. Developer decides finally what should be the format, what should be the structure, what should be included, what should not be included. But ideally, he follows this syntax concept. It's a generalized syntax how an API looks like. Any questions, guys, on API examples or API syntax?
So there is one question. I heard about the API, URL and URI. So what's the difference between these two, URI and URL?
Simple difference. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. URI stands for Uniform Resource Identifier. The examples for URI can be this one. Example for Uniform Resource Locator will be, it will stop here only. Only if you're accessing domain name, we use the word URL. If you're also using the endpoints and going to a specific location, we use the word URI, Uniform Resource Identifier, because I'm identifying by an employee ID, so it is called identifier. Something like, if I ask you, okay, Mr. Atul, where do you stay? And if you say in Bangalore, that's like Uniform Resource Locator, because you are not telling specifically which area in Bangalore. If I come to Bangalore, I cannot locate you. But you wanted to say, I stay in Bangalore. That's Uniform Resource Locator. And if I say, can you elaborate where you stay in Bangalore? Then you will say, I stay in Whitefield. The area name is Brookfield. The name of the apartment building is SJR Brooklyn Apartments, 9th floor, 902. That is URI for me, because you gave complete details. Now I can come to your home for dinner. Okay, so that's the difference between simple URL and URI. You Google it, you get the same answer.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so with this, guys, we have completed second chapter. Second chapter is again the basics. Chapter 1 is also basics, but without chapter 1 and chapter 2, security testing will be crazy. You cannot understand it. So chapter 3 will be started from Monday. Today is Friday. We don't have classes on Saturday and Sunday, as you know. So 2 days break we have. Please go through the recordings or go through my notes. And if you have questions, you can WhatsApp us. If you have not completed your enrollment, please complete the enrollment. WhatsApp me if you have any questions. I'll feel free to answer all your questions. Okay. And from Monday onwards, my demo classes have ended. Today is the last day of my demo classes. Monday onwards, only confirmed participants and enrolled participants will be eligible to listen to my classes. Okay. Now you have a fair enough understanding how the training looks like. We will go much slower in the upcoming classes. Chapter 1 and 2 are normal things. I was little rushing also. I know that, because there are certain basics which I don't want to elaborate. Like if I teach you what is a protocol, it is not correct in a training like security testing, because my expectation is to come with that basic understanding. But still, we spent little time on it. Monday onwards, we are going little slower for sure, because I will take an assumption that you do not know security testing, because I'm starting chapter 3. Chapter 1 and 2, I went with an assumption you know it, so I went little faster. Okay, that's all, guys. Happy weekend. I'll see you on Monday with all the confirmed participants.
Sir, so you will give access to the notes, correct, later, the drive?
Yes, Monday onwards, once I have the confirmed participants, everyone will get access to everything.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the explanation about statements.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Happy weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.